So as we know, Fable got delayed, and that's probably the biggest news to come out about the game in a very long time. Now that my initial reaction of no, why has Fable been delayed is settled, I decided I wanted to talk about why Fable actually got delayed, the reasons behind it. Is it just to make the game better? Is it to put a port on PlayStation? There's plenty of thoughts I'm having about it, and I want to share them with you today in this shorter video, as I felt like my last video was a bit of an initial reaction, and I didn't really compile my thoughts how I wanted to about the delay itself. So hopefully this one will be a bit more thought out, and we can have an interesting conversation about why Fable got delayed and what it means for the future of the game and the franchise, if there's going to be one. So first things first, let's go back to what I just alluded to. Did Fable get delayed just so they can put it on PlayStation? Now I've heard this a couple times, and honestly, I think it's a fair opinion to have. Everything seems to be going to PlayStation these days from Xbox. I think Xbox is trying to fully take itself out of the console war. And regardless, that is better for gamers, that's better for consumers. People can play the games they want where they want, that's how games should be. But is that the reason it sparked this delay? Honestly, I don't know, and I want to say I don't think so. The reason I say this is because, well, Xbox has been doing this for a while now, and they've been doing it long before they announced the release date for Fable. What I'm saying is, they had already said that Fable was coming out this year by the time they were releasing games on PlayStation. I mean, I know PlayStation's getting Forza, it might already have it, I think it has Halo now. I don't really know, I don't keep up to date with that side of the gaming market because I don't own the console. But I do think that if they were going to announce it to be on PlayStation, they would have just announced it with the delay, to be honest. Hell, that might have eased a lot of the complaints about the delay if they knew, hey, at least we can play it on whatever platform we want. The second thing everyone's talking about is, wow, the game must be wildly unfinished, and to be fair, this one I think has a bit more validity to it. This is basically the reason they cited for delaying the game. They wanted to give it the appropriate time to be created. It's kind of the thing you hear every time a game gets delayed, even if that is their real intentions or not, but with Fable, it may be the case. I do have to keep reminding myself that Playground Games have never made an RPG before. They are racing devs, and although, again, they have expanded a whole new studio to make the game, they're not going to be up to date with everything. They're not going to have all the engines sorted for an RPG. I believe they're actually using the Forza engine, which in itself isn't exactly suited for, again, RPGs. So I'm trying to understand why they may have had some difficulties developing it, and I can see why. And of course, this may lead to more complications coming up towards the back end of the game's release. They might think, hey, we can get it done this year, and then a big complication comes up that they've got to rework the engine for. I can understand why they may be having problems, and I think it's fair to understand that that could be the reason for the delay. Another one I've heard is they are delaying it to remove all the woke stuff. Now, I feel like I've heard this argument 1,000 times. And honestly, I don't know. I'm not at the studio. I don't know if they're going to be removing more safe material or not, or if the game has safe material or not. And honestly, it's a conversation, as I say, I'm very overdone with at this point. But for me personally, I think the game could benefit from a bit of edge. It's been arguably the biggest complaint raised against the game, and whilst it's not one I'm personally holding at this point in time, I learnt with Saints Row that having overly safe tones regarding a game can actually be really problematic for the output of the game. I know that a release that has been messed around with by management because they're scared it might be a bit too edgy can lead to a lesser product. However, learning that with Saints Row doesn't mean it's going to automatically apply to Fable. It very well might, but I just don't know at this point in time, so I can't sit here and definitively say, yes, that's the reason why Fable's been delayed, but it's something to at least think about, and it may be a concern from the team internally. I've heard a lot of people say that they're delaying the game to add a character creator, and honestly, it wouldn't surprise me, to be fair. It's by far been the most raised complaint against the game. Everyone's basically been saying, we want a character creator, we want to make our own hero. And I guess that could be a reason why they've delayed it. If that wasn't in the game at this point, they're going to want it to ease fan concerns, so I get that. And hell, if that is something they're going to do, if every time a big major complaint comes out, they decide to take a step back and delay the game and make the game better, I'm happy with that thought process. I'm glad that they are going to go, hey, we've heard your complaints, give us time, we'll fix it. So if that's the reason, and they're just doing this so they can get rid of any fan complaints that may happen, I'd be completely okay with it. One thing I've heard raised against Fable a lot is it simply didn't want to share a year release date with GTA. I've heard this argument a ton, and I, to a certain degree, understand it, okay? I can see why people who are, like, making games don't want to be in the same year as the GTA release date, because, quite frankly, that game's gonna have a ton of traction towards it and completely take the shine off your game. But, to be fair, couldn't they have just waited for, well, the release date of GTA 6, see where it's gonna fall in the year, and see if they could just release it, I don't know, a month or two after? I feel like if that was the reason, delaying the game this early would be weird. I feel like they should have at least waited for an official confirmation of release date before delaying the game, because quite frankly, it'd be pretty funny if now all of a sudden GTA 6 got pushed back to 2026. So those are the main reasons that people say that's why Fable got delayed, and some, as I say, I agree with, others I don't quite see as much, but I think they're all interesting reasons, and I think they're fair reasons to have as to why you think Fable might have got the inevitable delay. Now that I'm not as much in my feelings about the delay and I've had time to sit back on it, I'm glad it did get delayed. I suppose at the end of the day, the more time they have making the game, the better the game may be. If we rush these projects along, man, they just come out half-baked, and we've seen it time and time and time again with the gaming industry. A game that clearly needs to be delayed doesn't get delayed because they're scared of the backlash, and look what you get, a mediocre final product. If they have to delay Fable another 5 years, but the game I get is great, I would rather them do that than push it forward for now and give me something that's okay. And quite frankly, as a PC player, I want it to be optimized, and that's something that's going to be hopefully improved with the delay. I don't want to get my PC out ready to play Fable and it run like crap. I don't want a ton of glitches, I don't want a ton of bugs, and that does happen when they don't delay games too. If they don't take the time they need to make the game, then you get a lesser product, as I said. And, if they're listening to fan concerns and they're actually sitting there going, we don't want to disappoint fans with this release, I can get behind it too. So I do think the delay for Fable is a good thing. It's just a hard thing for me as a Fable fan to hear, because I've been waiting for so damn long. But overall, I am glad it happened, and I hope we get a fuller game because of it. Now, I'd like to take an additional second to dissect the gameplay that came with the delay, as in my initial video I was so hung up on the delay, I didn't really look at it and give my input on it, outside of saying it's janky, and I do want to explain exactly why I meant by it looked a bit janky. On screen, I'll put the gameplay I'm talking about so you know exactly what I'm speaking about at the time, so you can get where I'm coming from. So the bit that I thought was janky is specifically the dodge animation right now. I don't think it looks very good, quite frankly. It's indicative to me that the game is not finished when I saw this, so that's what I meant by the game looking a bit janky. The rest of the combat's fine. It's a bit clunky, obviously, because it's so far off release, but in time, I think it will come out to be really good. But this dodge animation, for me, is not it. This little subtle shift out the way, I don't think it looked very good, personally. So specifically when I said it looked a bit janky, that's what I was talking about. As for the rest of the gameplay, I've got to say, I'm pretty happy. I love the design of the world. So far, it's the best part about the game for me. Looking at how beautiful the landscapes have been and how interesting the world looks to explore, I love it. I know towards the trailer releases, people were a bit mixed on the art style, but for me, I'm personally in love with it. I think it was good because it gave us a lot more of a feeling for how the game's going to play too. I think the gameplay did highlight how Fable's going to feel. And to me, it looks very reminiscent of the older games. Nothing too ridiculously different, which is good. Obviously, it looks a lot more modern and updated, but it still retains the Fable DNA, which is important. I saw the chicken boss fight, which I thought was just so Fable. I love that. The Balverines look pretty cool, although the AI looked a bit janky when I was watching it, but it does look amazing. And I'm personally really excited to see some returning enemies from Fable. I'm praying on Banshees, bro. Please, I want Banshees. Overall, the setting, the location, and the graphics are beautiful. The combat's a little clunky, but it's looking pretty much like Fable, and the enemies look great. So the gameplay they showed made me pretty happy once I looked past the delay. So all I can say is I hope that this delay is just to make that gameplay even better, look even smoother, give us a great story, tons of lore, and hopefully the product we get is much better than what they had in mind for 2025's release. I hope this delay is worth it, and I think the reason they did delay it is to give us a better game, and maybe put it on some more platforms too. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a PlayStation 5 release. I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens with Fable. I'm hoping the game comes out good, but I'm not getting my hopes up yet, as I've learned that I will be burned if I get way too overhyped for a game that turns out to be bad. Either ways, thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know how you feel about the Fable delay. Why do you think it was delayed personally? And I'll see you in the next one. What did I fail? I failed a couple exams too. That fucking spider's massive! Get the fuck away from me. No, not having it. Where's the fucking spider spray? Oh, you big fucking 8-leg bastard. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up, boys. Oh, he's got like thick legs too. He's not like a daddy. No, not having it. No. I will not be dealing with this.